able to fight back in the games from a deficit, but they are putting themselves so far behind that it becomes incredibly difficult to actually win the game.
Ezreal locked in for the side of Clutch, and we do know that Clutch tries to put a few things on their plate, but it seems like they don't have a B or a C shored up if A plan does not work, and we've been kind of seeing that fall apart. They have to recuperate, build the plane while they're flying halfway through, and it's almost getting to the landing zone, honestly.
And I'm getting a little bit worried for Lira. Again, they haven't quite yet prioritized a jungle pick for him. Last time around, there were maybe like 6-7 jungle bans thrown out. This time around, Skarner's banned out. TSM immediately grabbed the Sejuani for Spica as well, which he has looked very comfortable on. They get, again, the Sylas plus Aatrox for top side, so they've got their front line set.
Yeah, I'm not sure why they felt they needed to instantly pick, Ezreal TK, which hasn't really been high priority here. When it's the first pick Sejuani, why not protect Lira a little bit in the draft and at least grab him the Sylas? That is what is kind of confusing to me. But Clutch will draft a very self-sufficient bottom lane on the, for their duo down there. It's going to be very safe, and they're able to grab themselves Qiyana, and then they just need a jungler who can help to focus around that lane and kind of ignore the bottom side.
Kind of fitting here. Clutch with a must-win game and going back to the Qiyana. They were the first ones to play it in the LCS. One of the first teams to play it in all of competitive League of Legends upon release. And Damonte, definitely an experienced Qiyana player. He will need jungle attention. So you mentioned the Ezreal Tahm Kench being a self-sufficient bottom lane. We expect almost 80%, 90% of jungle attention to be played on the mid and top part of the map here for Clutch Gaming. But TSM should also see that coming.
I'm expecting Clutch to ban out Xayah here. Xayah Rakan still is available. Would be really surprising to see that just kind of given over to TSM. So that is going to get taken away. Probably a Jarvan ban for TSM. And then the question is, again, do you go back to the Elise? What is the answer going to be here for, oh wow, they're actually going to leave the Jarvan up. So I think that is going to be for sure what we see coming out here from Lira. A bit more of a comfortable play from him, but perhaps TSM is thinking, all right, if you're going AD mid and perhaps an AD top, you would want to have an AP jungler. So denying that with the Gragas and the Elise getting taken out doesn't really leave you a lot of options. I wouldn't expect them to go to Eve or anything.
You also just want a cooler Alta steal.
Honestly, both of those are true. Jarvan does get locked in, though. So one thing about Jarvan Qiyana, though, it's kind of scary when Jarvan comes in with the Cataclysm. So you still have a lot to worry about as far as that mid-jungle duo. Zven's Kalista, well, they locked that in. This is something that he has played for such a long time. Origin Zven definitely had a tear on Kalista. We'll see if we can bring it through here with Smoothie. Not going to lock it in. It will be another early lane power focused champion though, and they'll lock it in with the Lucian.
Wouldn't be surprised to see Braum. Smoothie could go Pike here if they want a more aggressive option here, but definitely would not be surprised to just see the Braum pick coming through. And yeah, I mean, you have such good setup. Okay, so they're going to go for a bit more of an aggressive engage style option here. They want to have a secondary form of engage. They utilized that well with the Nautilus in last game, so this is going to be kind of the plug and play there. But you have the guaranteed route here, essentially, with the EQ from Qiyana to set up for that Jarvan EQ. And this is going to be extremely heavy physical damage setup here. Yes, potentially later, Ezreal could go into some AP, but if you're Aatrox, you're rushing Tabbies, you're rushing perhaps Zonias or at least the Seekers for Sylas. Sejuani can just stack armor, and they have to get things done early and often probably through the 1-3-1.
For sure, this is one of those games in solo queue. You see that matchup, you're spamming cloth armor pings at the beginning of the match because there is huge value on that, and they've got champions that can build it very effectively here on the side of TSM. All eyeballs are going to be on Clutch, and if they can extend the series, though, TSM looking to punch that ticket to Worlds already so early in the day.
Pretty crazy stuff. You have to think Bjergsen's been there, Zven's been there in a third, fourth place match with Origin previously. A lot of skill on this team with most everybody except for Broken Blade and Spica, who joined the team most recently in Broken Blade this year. So there's a lot to be learned from this team and also gained if they do get to the international stage.
Certainly is, and you know, such a surprising first couple of games, you have to say. Talking to all the players, all the teams, the coaches, in the interviews, everyone looking at the gauntlet was saying CLG versus Clutch. That's the decider, and TSM here, a month of hard practice, certainly paying dividends thus far in the series, looking to close it out, looking to reestablish themselves as one of North America's best teams and go to Worlds.
Trying to prove that 2018 Worlds miss was a fluke for TSM here, 2-0 against Clutch as the final boss in the NA Regional Qualifier Finals. Here we are in Game 3, as we said, Clutch backs against the wall. We are on the rift, and TSM is heading out of their base. Hometown crowds for both here trying to cheer each other on, and Clutch definitely wanting to stay alive in this series. Saw a lot of action towards the mid lane early last game. May expect to see it here again, but it looks like it may just be a 2v2 bot that stays down there.
Yeah, so last game, I started talking about, all right, Elise can go fast level 3 off red, Krugs, blue, and then gank. However, he did 4 camps, got out ganked by the Sejuani. This time, I'll one-up it. I'll say, all right, Lira can go red buff into gank. Jarvan is very good at level 2 ganking and can snowball even earlier with a pass like that. It can possibly set you behind, but we'll keep an eyeball on Lira to see if he is more aggressive in the pathing to try and affect the map early, because I do think that Clutch are going to need to get money early on Irelia, on Qiyana, in order to win this game.
Yeah. But it is going to be Jarvan just going down to that bottom side, so it will be at least start on the blue. So it will not be that level 2 gank you would not expect without that red buff. And we'll see where exactly he's going to want to go from here, because, you know, Spica has been kind of in his comfort zone, playing this Sejuani every game, you know, being able to kind of have a little bit less pressure on him, playing comfort, playing a more forgiving, tanky style champion. You can afford to kind of just be more on the defensive end of these jungle matchups.
But still making plays where he needs to be for the team, which is definitely super helpful. Spica not having that much time kind of on the big stage, or even an international stage for that matter. So all of this preparation is going to be fantastic for him. Looking at Bjergsen and Damonte here in mid, was mentioned about a bit of that gank pressure we were seeing. Damonte, 35%
Some minion.
of his chances in that first blood is what he accrues here for the regular season. 35% of the time it kills and assists are for Damonte. 11% of the time it's for Bjergsen. So to see TSM come mid lane last game definitely shows that they're changing their play style.
And we might have that Jarvan gank after all. Really awkward path from him, but it makes it work with the timing. Lira comes in, level 2 blue buff Jarvan gank, not the most feared, gets the flash though. So he's the first one to visit, and now you're in a situation, Qiyana can constantly pull the water elements from the river and threaten Bjergsen for the snare combo. If you land that, it guarantees an EQ from Jarvan, and they gain pressure.
And it is so interesting as Bjergsen, the Ignite was dropped there, not going to have the damage to kill him, but you know, Bjergsen is a player who is really methodical with timings, with knowing exactly when to ward, which angles the jungler should come from at what moments, and sometimes doing these weird paths can pay dividends, as they're going to try to TP back in and punish Damonte as Spica is here.
I like it. He's got a huge wave. Why would Damonte leave? He tries to take Terror from the right side.
That was clean.
He's out of that one beautifully on the other side of Spica. Nicely done by Damonte to get out.
Feels grass there.
Yep.
Lira comes in to help push the wave as well. He doesn't want to leave it in a bad spot here, so they're going to be able to finish this one off. Meanwhile, that opens up Spica to go get the Scuttle Crab in the duration, and he's going to get the top one, secure that 4 Broken Blade, who's pushing ahead on Aatrox.
Let's see this gank once more.
Yeah, and this is just an unexpected path, right? Bjergsen was actually going to ward there to head up and probably ward up near Raptors, very likely, and instead does have to have his Flash Force.
And the reason Bjergsen has that timing is because he knows it was a blue start, because they saw the bottom lane, head to lane afterwards, and timing for a full blue half clear, trying to get his ward out there ahead of time. Meanwhile, that does leave the bottom lane here for a little bit of an exchange. Cody Sun and Vulcan doing quite well for themselves thus far.
Early sweeper to that bottom side. They do not want brush control in any form here for the side of Clutch Gaming, so Smoothie is going to be sweeping immediately on the side of TSM, along with Spica.
Yeah, and I think that's actually really smart when you're playing Rakan specifically into a Tahm Kench lane, because your engage actually has to catch the Tahm Kench as well as the AD really to be effective there, as Huni and Broken Blade trading so heavily, and this is because Lira is actually trailing him. He's trying to get him low for a potential dive here. Lira is going to walk up through these brushes, and if Broken Blade is low enough, we may see them go in for this. Let's see if the stun will land.
Flawless duet right on the left side of the turret would have been perfect timing. Now he's got to really distance it. Flashes forward to make it work. Has no charge on the dash. And they're just going to go for the autos. He's going quite deep, though. No Lira's coming in. They say maybe we can take Spica as well. A 5 and a 4 versus a level 4 jungler. Does he have the flag and drag to make it happen? Spica's crawling this one around as Bjergsen slowly walking over, but it's taken a while. Him and Damonte still have a bit of ground to cover here. Squire's Bloom goes down, and Damonte pushes off Bjergsen.
That was such a bold play from Spica, trying to 1v1 just with a challenging smite there. Gives away a kill. I was going to say that play set up from Clutch. The reason they can go so aggressive is because they will be rewarded by denying the triple stacked minion wave no matter what. So Huni was like, you know what? I'll trade flashes. I'll chase you down. I'll go for the damage. I'm denying you all this experience from these minions, regardless of if we get the kill or not. But then Spica goes back in. They end up getting a kill on top of it.
Yeah, this was odd.
Yeah, Spica decides he's going to re-engage, and one of the kind of worst parts about this is it actually baits Broken Blade into staying around to try to help him. So Broken Blade does not actually complete his recall to TP back to get any of those minions. So it's First Blood going over. That's Broken Blade put way behind with the wave pushing against him in the 1v1. That is very detrimental to the start here.
And that was kind of close there for Spica. He was not counting on Jarvan cooldowns. If there was not an EQ knockup from Lira, you know, if Jarvan's not there. Here we go, mid though.
Damonte could be going down. Spica, it's a 3v1. Damonte is going to walk out of this one with the grass invisibility. Beautifully played to get out.
Yeah, and that was really nice. He actually held on to his flash there, knowing that no one could get that last stack of the passive from Sejuani. Summoners were down for Spica, Broken Blade, and Bjergsen, so there was no possibility of a flash follow for last stack into that Sejuani stun. So intelligently tracks those cooldowns, holds on to the Summoner.
You see the result of the top lane back and forth. That huge minion wave just cleared by Huni, and maybe 4 or 5 there to be picked up by Broken Blade. 51-28 after that entire top fiasco.
Yeah, that's the result of those triple stack minion wave we're talking about. Gonna be felt by Broken Blade here, and it means early executioners from Huni. He's got the extra money to work with as well, so it feels quite good trading in this matchup.
Yeah, it definitely does, and it can become pretty difficult, you know, when you are against an Irelia who is ahead of you as the Aatrox. Irelia has a lot of mobility, you know, the ability to actually dash around and dodge the sweet spots on your Qs and look for those potential all-ins.
And if we incorporate that into the overall game plan that we looked at for this team composition, you know, having the Ezreal Tahm Kench as a safe bottom lane, allowing a lot of top lane focus, that is going to be right on target for Clutch Gaming. You know, they've got now a super strong Irelia for Lira to work off of. Qiyana in the mid lane as well. Damonte's been playing very well, dodging out a lot of the pressure. So I think this all goes according to plan for Clutch, and they're feeling so much better about this game than the start of the last one, where TSM absolutely crushed them.
And we'll see if Clutch actually wants to start up this Infernal. Would be pretty nice for them to grab, but you know, is somewhat of a risky proposition to be going for without anyone taking off the map before.
Monte's a grass puller.
Yeah, it looks like it. He continuously loves that terrain. It really makes it hard to kind of follow up on anything for Bjergsen, but this one, quite follow-upable, if you will. Supreme display of talent stolen from Damonte, and they use it against the jungler. And now it's going to be, or the top laner, now it's going to be a quick fight here. Spica could go down. Spica lives! He gets the HP back as well, and Lira's going to have to flash out. Talk about everything coming up TSM.
There can only be one true Supreme display of talent. And Bjergsen actually gets the better one this time around. Even when Clutch going to answer, they can't do it. Spica timing here is so good. It was called from Broken Blade to roam down the river, so Spica gets there, starts it off for Bjergsen, easy knock over into the wall. Then Clutch try and answer because they think they have the ultimate advantage, but it gets turned around so quickly. Lira goes and they split a little bit, allowing for the extra kill here, trading 1-for-1 and having to blow their flash on the way out.
Yeah, it was a nice attempt, especially with the Ezreal ult coming across from bot lane to add in some extra damage. They thought that they would have had that damage needed to actually burst down a couple members, but you know, Huni, just kind of a bit of lazy pathing there. They know he's missing from topside. He didn't have tracking on where Spica was, so he gets caught out and he gets punished very heavily.
That's one aspect of TSM that people have really been looking for since they've rotated through so many junglers. You know, how well are they going to work with the jungler? How well can they communicate and call them in? I think that was since Broken Blade was trailing Huni down the river, calling, hey, Spica, this is an opportunity here. He gets in with the control ward, and it results in a positive play for them. They're still down 1,000 gold versus Clutch, due to Clutch's successful early start and that massive CS denial, especially on the top side of the map.
But you can see some important itemization coming through. Early armor, right? Tabby's already done here for Broken Blade. The Seeker's arm guard built up here for Bjergsen, and likely going to go into a Proto Belt or something along those lines next. But it's going to be so efficient against all this damage here. Damonte wants Bjergsen.
Bjergsen hit up, Supreme Display onto him, but I don't think they're going to want this follow-up fight. Flawless Duet to stop the team, and Clutch gets the idea to assess another target. That's going to be Zven that they take down first. Spica's going to get chased down behind the red buff now as it's Huni dropping off Broken Blade there. The rest of TSM does not want this fight as they lose their jungler, and Clutch bite down hard in the middle of the map.
Kind of similar to last game, I guess. TSM get an Infernal Drake, but Clutch strike back, and they get the kills on the way out. The bottom lane rotating over. Zven gets taken down very quickly, and that is going to be a pretty big push there for Clutch.
Yeah, and they're actually just going to move their bot lane top, you know, potentially reset, set up for this Rift Herald that is now spawned up here. So TSM does get the Infernal. That is big for them, but Damonte had caught out onto Bjergsen here. Certainly not enough damage to knock him down, but a good flash here from Damonte, avoiding the R flash there from Smoothie, and it is this turnaround onto Zven. When he gets caught out, separated from the rest of the team, TSM won't have enough damage to actually continue the fight.
Yeah, you can see the communication there. Zven was trailing, thinking that he was going to be the caboose for this gank on mid lane, and yet the Ezreal was behind him, so he ended up getting pinched and gets killed off in the aftermath. Both bottom lanes answer with the switch up to top side, so everybody well aware Rift Herald's the next prize. There is no objective on the bottom half of the map pulling anyone down there, so it is all Rift Herald all day now.
Is this our latest Rift Herald this year? No.
11 minutes. 11
minutes in, and Team going right for it when it comes up.
Yeah, I do think it also gives some freedom now for Huni to work in that 1v1. He has the gold lead, so if you know jungler is going to be on top side of the map, which they have spotted Spica now, you know, Huni has a little bit more agency to push with Reckless Abandon, and he's shoved in that bottom wave and is now threatening to move up towards that mid lane for a potential play there.
Really liking the Damonte Moby boots here. Whatever terrain you have, you run faster than next to that, so he can zoom himself around the map now in the river. See what he gets out of this.
Again.
Maybe a little crowd control. He can stun back, flash over the wall, but he doesn't have flash. He can't get the stun out, and he gets locked up himself. Damonte goes down.
And that is twice now out of that brush that Spica has caught a Clutch solo laner, and this should be Rift for TSM.
That's Spica's favorite spot and Spica's favorite control ward. Pays off again for TSM. This one will be rewarded in an objective.
Early part of the game was quite crazy towards that top lane. A little bit more love towards that side of the map now, just 12 minutes later, and we'll see if they can grab Rift Herald. Lira's on the other side of the wall. Maybe he can sneak in and get this smite there. He's trying to creep in, but he says no. Is the window to fight there, though, for Clutch Gaming? That's the next question. Tagging a few abilities. Cody Sun, Arcane's just forward. Broken Blade and Huni going on a little 1v1 adventure down towards mid. But it looks like this one fizzles out with not too much happening, and TSM will get Rift Herald.
Yeah, nicely done by TSM. They're following up on that pick, able to take another objective here. Down a little bit of gold, but with the Rift Herald as well as that Infernal, their position in this game is pretty good.
And the kills are going to their solo laners. Bjergsen now with 2 for Sylas, trying to fund his Proto Belt and Zonias. He will be a very tanky Sylas.
Oh.
Broken Blade is dead. It's catch me up on that one as Qiyana found him in the jungle.
Nicely done. Definitely the combo we'll have to see there. I think he came in with water to stun. Yeah, he does have water to stun. Initiates after that.
He should have seen that.
Terrain.
He just knocked the plant. Like that if you're paying attention, you see the plant on the mini map. So that is some lack of focus there from
But aren't you
Broken Blade.
curious, Azael? What hit the plant?
Ooh. Is it a squirrel? Is it a pot of gold? No.
It was definitely something.
Well, unfortunately, it goes down for him. And that did mean he's losing more minions on the bottom side, right? He was already behind Huni, now down about 60 CS. He may be here in time to pick up a couple of these minions, but Huni's gold lead is just getting bigger off the back of that because, you know, Broken Blade did not want to blow the TP, you know, and give Clutch that map advantage. So he is going to have to make that long walk back to lane.
Seeing how that lane played out. Huni actually pressed the attack this time, and Broken Blade stayed far away. He didn't want that fight. Broken Blade on Conqueror really be able to put out that damage once they get into these long fights. But Huni, after the first plays, wasn't able to aggress Broken Blade, wasn't able to get those kills he wanted, so it's been a bit slower to get his items.
Yeah, but I mean, hitting the Triforce at this point in the game with
the
executioners is pretty damn good,
Absolutely.
right? Anytime you are in a matchup where it is Triforce versus Black Cleaver and you get there first as a Triforce user, you are feeling like this guy is doomed. So Huni going to be really comfortable to go aggressive here, and it's great by timing right before the Infernal. So I want to see Clutch try to fight for this.
I wonder, yeah, TSM going to pop the Rift Herald here at the same time with Inferno. 5 members pushing in on the tower to pressure.
Infernal chains back. Huni's on the bot lane pressuring. True Shot Barrage goes through. A little bump from Cody Sun as he high-fives Rift Herald. Damonte waiting. He has the river again. So that water is going to lock up his opponents when he uses Q.
Oh, Huni over the wall, perhaps.
Instant auto again on Q. Double stun here if he hits it. Round 2. He does use the Supreme Display, but he's going to get out of this one. That was just to add a little bit of front-end damage, and it looks like they'll now fight for the Drake.
Yeah, and they got Broken Blade's ult and him chunked down. So this could just be them straight up getting the Infernal. I think TSM says off that, no, don't even challenge. Bjergsen got chunked down to about half. Broken Blade used his ult and was chunked down to half. So with that little bit of damage coming out from Damonte, Clutch will even us up as far as the Infernals go.
Nicely done. Thinning out the members of TSM before they need to make a move, or at least their health bars and ultimates to make it happen. Clutch again, able to set a little bit of pace here in a game where they didn't seem to get everything they wanted early. A little bit of a mishap top, but game's being cleaned up. 4,000 gold in the lead now feels pretty great as they start to drop that outer ring of turrets here. It's still protected in the other lanes, but that means Clutch is headed towards mid or top.
And they're pretty happy to get that first turret bonus as well. That one goes down without anybody else around. Huni gets full gold on it, and that is just going to mean Irelia even more powerful here. Even though Huni hasn't gotten any of the kills, by far highest farm in the game and turret gold.
And he's actually going to go Death Stance again, I do believe, with this Vamp Scepter. You know, it is going to be the build we saw from him yesterday against CLG, where he was absolutely taking over. Now, the Death Stance is so incredibly powerful in the 1v1. Things like a GA obviously can be better for the team fight, but you get to this point where you're so tanky and you have so much sustain with that Death Stance. When you're this far ahead, you can essentially ignore the tower and start to actually threaten dives onto this Aatrox.
Great buddy system they have in mid. Not looking good, however. Buddy system top side for TSM. They forgot to leave somebody next to Bjergsen, and that's going to be a Lira Damonte pickup. TSM not really in position to make a move around the map, so Clutch pick up a little bit more and aren't even going to pressure this one.
Yeah, these are very key pickoffs for Damonte. He's choosing his targets wisely because the armor is going to keep on coming. We already have a bunch of armor stacked on Sejuani. We have 2 of the Ninja Tabi already. We expect to see more of them coming through for TSM. So trying to take down Bjergsen while he just has the Seekers and doesn't have a Zhonya's fully completed right now and was at low HP to begin with is very important, since Cody Sun is basically full AD right now. Ezreal hasn't splashed too much AP in there. And with the extra lead here for this team, they might be able to brute force.
Yeah, and it looks like for now they're just going to utilize Huni on this bottom side to try to draw pressure. You know, TSM may need to send an additional man down to actually deal with Huni, and if you can set up that type of position, you can really start to kind of force elsewhere on the map, get vision, try to start taking away these camps. But as of right now, it is just going to be Clutch pushing out those waves, then regrouping with Huni here.
Forward wards being placed. You see a bit of a move in, as you said, from Huni. That pink's going to go down by the red buff. Nice damage from Cody Sun as he walks forward with Lira. And it seems like they're just tempting TSM, figuring out how much TSM feels like they need to aggress or push themselves into a bad situation. But they're asking the question to the wrong team. TSM is ready to take the fight accordingly as it comes. We already see supreme display of talent on Bjergsen. He probably wants to get that set up on more than just one member. TSM moving together downriver. Slices for Huni. Keeps himself safe on the bot side, and looks like he'll try to keep Broken Blade down there as long as possible, even though low on mana. Goes for Krugs in a bit of a fight up towards the top side of the map. Now it starts to get a little bit antsy, where everybody does want something, but I still think we're gated here by the minute and a half of Infernal Drake.
Yeah, and everybody's holding onto their teleports right now, too. Damonte by himself top, though.
Supreme display of talent on the turret. Damonte still goes down. So sorry, so close to getting out though, and that's going to be another pickup on the side at TSM. Quickly moving around the map, and it just seems like straggler pickoffs are the name of the game right now.
Yeah, and that's a nice play for TSM. Didn't hit the Supreme display of talent, but are able to actually locking him down with Smoothie, blowing the summoners, blowing the ultimate, getting in on top of him, and that's an easy setup for Spica to then follow up with that Sejuani ult. So TSM, getting picks of their own back, this is certainly something they need to do. They are on the back foot a bit here and want to try to pull themselves back into parity potentially before this next Infernal.
Yeah, Qiyana's a very good target for them to go after. They knew they had the numbers advantage there and are able to walk through that previously set control ward to make that dive happen. Some money back for themselves. See if they can actually set up, because the next dragon is, guess what? Another Infernal! And we're 30 seconds away with currently the vision in Clutch Gaming's favor. So they have priority right now.
They want Zven.
Flawless duet, just missing Vanguards as well as Zven gets himself to safety. That was a flash used, however. And now it's going to be 16 seconds for Infernal. Last one to come up on the map cannot be matched, as you're only going to get 3 of that one element.
All right, TSM are going to try and stall right now because they're keeping Bjergsen on top half of the map. They want to be able to get that turret while Clutch Gaming go for this Infernal Drake. And even though there's a ward in there, they're giving up on it because everybody else also going top. TSM decided not to fight this Infernal Drake, and they're going to try and trade across the map.
Yeah, and I think this is smart. TSM know they're in a weaker position right now. You just lost Flash off of your AD as well, so the potential for a Flash, Qiyana, all Jarvan, etc., all piling in is very real. So they're going to have to respect that fact, and we'll be giving up another Infernal, while TSM are going to try to push for a second potential turret, or at least some damage down on it.
Yeah, not a whole lot of follow-up coming from those two, but if they have time, they can whittle it down and prep it for the next move that they want. Looks like they should have enough damage to take it down. There's a true shot barrage from Cody Sun. A little help from Damonte. Does keep it standing tall onto Zven. That's going to be a hit in from Lira. He tries to actually get to the flash in knock-up, and they're not going to be able to be successful on that, but they are successful on the kill and turret, and that's what matters for Clutch.
Yeah, this is actually huge. They can continue pushing on turret number 2. The only defense that TSM had mid was Zven, and with him down, that is a quick second turret pick up there for Clutch Gaming, which opens up the entire map. Now they have no mid turrets with which to try and defend off of. That is your pivot point for both the Dragons and Baron defense here. It makes it really hard to keep up that defensive line of control wards through your jungle. So Clutch Gaming very quickly kind of blow open the doors.
Yeah, and I mean, they end up in the long run getting so much more out of that. It wasn't just the Infernal then traded for a turret. They ended up getting killed, 2 turrets of their own, and certainly are looking poised to take a very big advantage of this game. But it is now Baron time, 22 minutes in, so the vision battles must now begin in this area. And TSM does have a smattering of wards around that river, and even some of those deeper wards, back into the Clutch Gaming side. And really, this is what has to just all be kind of cleared out by Clutch, and then we want to see them trying to establish their battle lines and looking for fights around those jungle corridors where Qiyana is so strong.
Vanguard's edge is down. They'll take that fight. Double Vanguards, and who's going to get this one? Huni's now at a 3v1. Smoothie doesn't even come to the fight to go in there.
Baron is up right now while they put 4 members bottom. All right, they're not going to go for anything fresher here. Really good play then from TSM to quickly kill off Huni, and no response really except for the top turret trade. So it's going to be the extra advantage here, an extra gold going over to TSM. They can dive 3v1 as well.
Yeah, and honestly just kind of preying on Huni's aggressive tendencies, right? Just waiting in that brush. Aatrox shows up and is like, I'm here, bro. And he just immediately goes right in on him, wants that 1v1 kill, and Huni gets punished for it.
Seeing where they go. Huni wants to dance with death, and they will give it to him down towards that bot side of the map, and that focus is now towards the top. Spica doing what he can to place a few wards, as you see the ones that have been placed by TSM are wearing out quite soon, so they need to recap here and get some vision down. Great job by Clutch already to get that light bright of security out as Cody Sun continues to farm. This is where it seems like it's really hard to break Clutch when you don't exactly know what they're going to do next, and it could just be Damonte coming out of the woodwork.
Yeah, Damonte specifically, because the Qiyana is going to have a very difficult time assassinating any of these targets on TSM. They all now, in addition to armor, have things like Stoneplate and Zonias available to them. And Lucian is one of the tankiest marksmen just by default from the Black Cleaver build. And Zven has been able to complete that. I would expect for Clutch, well, they're going to try and catch Smoothie. I would expect Lira to also build a Black Cleaver, try and continue to shred more armor for his teammates. The Dragonlance level 5 Jarvan already shreds 26% of your opponent's armor, but he's going to also try and build a Black Cleaver to help soften up some of these armor-heavy targets for the team. That's why both of these teams are kind of slow at the moment, choosing their opportunity.
Damonte roaming down, possibly into the jungle, but looks like he's just going to get a little bit of assistance with his team. They do see him on the outside, so they're not ready to take this fight on the side of TSM. And TSM will back off through their jungle. Looks safe, though. They are ready to go over the walls. Smoothie camped out in the wolf pit, looking to try to get himself over, but Clutch doesn't want to give him an easy engage here.
Yeah, Spica's got to be a little bit careful about getting chunked out too hard, because this is a double Infernal 25-minute game, right? Like, you can just go on to Baron if the jungler gets too low and look to potentially rush that down. Huni, though, moving up towards this mid lane, is spotted out by a ward, so TSM should be backing off.
Talked a little bit about those Zanyas earlier. Not as easy to take down Bjergsen now. Gargoyle onto Spica. He can take a few hits. Has to be a perfect entry from Broken Blades Aatrox if it happens. And they're allowing Clutch in ever so slightly here so they can get that false sense of security. It looks like TSM really wants to get in.
Yeah, TSM only have that one super deep ward that Azael pointed out earlier. Does get replaced, though, as Spica places a new one in their own jungle. Clutch have complete control over the vision around the Baron at the moment, and they're closing
Bjergsen
in.
in trouble.
Cody Sun over the wall. He could possibly get devoured. Oh, they got a flash over for him. This is not what they wanted. Now devoured by Vulcan. Supreme display of talent twice across the wall for both of the mid laners. Spica's getting pretty low here in the middle of the fight and can't get out because of the Cataclysm, and Lira's going to go into stasis. Everybody's looking for the next target, the first one to go down. Who's it going to be with a low HP? They skitter away from each other, and nobody has gone down except for Bjergsen in this fight. No more follow-up after the mid laner falls.
Yeah, the health is too low for Clutch to start the Baron here, though, so thankfully for TSM, it was a close enough fight to prevent that follow-up. And Cody Sun just initiating it, dashing over the wall into the Sylas's face, getting things started here for Clutch.
It looked like they wanted to devour back over the wall, and then he just created a little too much distance. You saw Vulcan have to flash over for it. I can't wait to see it again. Here it is.
All right, this is the start. Yeah, they know they're got their eyes on Bjergsen. Immediately, though, from the brush, Smoothie jumps onto Cody, and he gets a little bit worried. But Vulcan flashes over, even after getting knocked up, is able to get the Devour off. And then the re-engage there, they're able to jump down, Jarvan ultimate the rest of them, but Spica's able to Q flash out on Sejuani, so no further casualties on either side.
Yeah, and Zven staying very healthy in this fight really was what kind of pushed Clutch back from trying to continue. We can now see that Cody Sun is going to build towards some AP. He already had the Sork boots, and it is going to be this Gunblade as opposed to going straight for that Blade of the Rune King. And we may see something along the lines of Illudens next. That can be pretty popular with these kind of poke-style Ezreal builds where we see them putting both the red buff and the blue buff onto this Ezreal and allowing him to really get a lot of work done.
3 strong in mid. Qiyana
Huni
coming down the top side of blue. Huni flanking now onto Zven, out of position. Zven is down. Rest of TSM has to find their way in through their own front door because they cannot base to the fountain. That's an ultimate stolen. Only Vanguard's Zed for Bjergsen isn't going to really do too much against Clutch as they are now inside the base. Spica in the eyes of the team of Clutch here, locked up in Cataclysm. How can TSM answer? They can only watch their jungler fall. Clutch has control of the rift.
Yeah, they knocked that door right down. Once again, Zven was the only member of TSM in mid lane, so they kill him. They take down the inhibitor turret plus the inhibitor. They abyssal voyage towards Baron as well, and they will be able to pick that up.
Yeah, Spica trying to cut the minions. It looked like they're coming from behind from Clutch, but there was no way they were ever going to be able to take that team fight for TSM once Zven was already down. So Clutch kill off the jungler, taking away any chance really of a steal here. And Bjergsen wandering over to the area, but he will be far too late. The Baron is going to go to Clutch.
Looking like we're going to get another game of this series. Here's another eyeball on Huni with the flank. He knows he has flash advantage over Zven, so he makes it stylish once again with the R flash Irelia, able to finish him off with the stun, and then This is kind of what you're talking about,
Yeah.
where Spica flanked from behind, but they already down on members.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really see what he was thinking was going to happen here, right? Like, how is TSM going to follow up? And I'm not sure if he was trying to cut the wave. It didn't look like it. It looked like he just wanted to engage, but throws away his life and guarantees that his Clutch Gaming team will be getting Baron.
Guardian Angel purchase for Damonte. He and Huni can dive in even harder now with the ability to be devoured by Vulcan if he is behind them. And here we are towards the bot side of the map. Objective free across the board, just the turrets left. So that means it's bot side time as Clutch looks to put the finishing touches on the outer tier turrets. This one's gonna fall pretty fast. Nobody's on the top side of the map, so expect this engage to last quite a while here in the bot.
Oh, teleport behind. This is a teleport flank deep from TSM. We see on the minimap, it's Bjergsen, Sylas coming through. He'll have to go through control wards.
Who's he gonna steal though? Damonte's gonna be his first. Qiyana ultimate would be huge here if he can get a flash over the wall. Bjergsen's flash is still up. If he can get the rest of Clutch as they are backs against the wall, it would be gigantic. The turret's only got about a fifth of its HP left, and that's a few shots from the Ezreal. One with that W lock up, and now they're gonna be on to Spica. Comes through. Nice job by Smoothie to get the quickness on the rest of Clutch Gaming members so TSM can try to stop the offense, but I don't know if it's gonna be enough. Clutch has already taken the front end damage that they're going to, and Broken Blade has to sheath the sword. That's gonna be it here for game 3, and Clutch looks to seal the deal and keep the series alive.
Huni is a monster! He just soloed Zven with Sejuani right next to him, diving in on the Irelia, and Clutch!
What a game, and game 4, here we come. Clutch Gaming knowing exactly what it's like to be in TSM's shoes, and maybe a little bit of how to fight against it.
Definitely the case. I mean, TSM, this time they don't get the early game advantage, and Clutch show us what they can do with the lead. Huni was so far ahead this entire game. Big advantages up on that top side. You know, that one play where they're actually pushing Broken Blade off the turret really had huge effects on the rest of the game. He was never able to catch back up to Huni. Huni got ahead in itemization, and at the end of the game, he was almost a full 100 CS ahead.
This was also our most calm game of the series. A lot less frantic. It felt like they, the gravity of the situation had fallen on Clutch, and they're like, you know what? We cannot lose this game. So even with the early lead, they were doing the homework, step by step, trying to move it up and not give that opening.
TSM come out strong, but Clutch swing back hard for game 3. For more on how Clutch kept the series alive, let's throw it back to our State Farm analyst desk.
Thank you, Riv. Clutch Gaming not ready to say goodbye to their world's hopes just yet, or not evening up the series, but extending it 2-1 now stands the score. I know there's some confusion, though, on the desk on how exactly TSM didn't win that game, or rather Clutch winning it with the draft that they came away with.
I tweeted that it was going to be a 3-0 after I saw that comp. They had a full AD team into Sejuani, Aatrox, Sylas with no CC, and somehow they won. I don't know.
Well, the part you're overlooking is that they actually have a fantastic win rate with Qiyana,
Yeah, it is.
and they can win all those games. Didn't work with the GPE last time, but they got the Qiyana. It's over. That's all that matters.
Their win rate was higher with the Qiyana.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point.
yeah, I retract all my previous
It doesn't matter what the
statements.
comp is, Medios. They got Qiyana.
But really, I think it is, I want to explore this a bit more because was it, or rather more so whether or not it was a failure of TSM or if it was Clutch overcoming, the deficiencies of their composition to win this game.
I think those deficiencies were overcome by bodying the top lane. Huni and Lira teamed up to get a pretty sizable wave denied away from Broken Blade, and then Spica threw himself into the mix as well. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna give you a little extra for your trouble. Take my kill.
Take my flash.
All right, and then that snowballed that because Irelia Conqueror, doesn't that matter that you have armor? That's true damage Irelia, just chopping you down.
Right. I think one big thing for me this game was definitely the play you mentioned. Like Lyra had a good movement to the top side, deny the fat wave from Aatrox. But then also, it seemed like TSM was finding a lot of picks throughout the game, but they weren't really getting anything off of it. Most of the time it would be like they would send 3 people to the side, they would kill Damonte, they'd kill Huni, but then they would leave their Lucian alone mid, and he would just get busted, and they would break all their turrets mid.
And I know initially when we were watching the draft, we were both kind of critical of the takeaway pick. I think neither of us really loved takeaway picks. But the Ezreal is the perfect comp or pick for what TSM's trying to do here. They want to leave Lucian in the mid lane while they do this kind of 1-3-1 setup, and hopefully he can kind of survive on his own while the Rakan can try and make plays in the side lanes potentially. But he kept getting picked off mid lane, and that's where Clutch was able to grab a lot of their biggest objectives. And so in the draft, I didn't love the idea, but it clearly had an effect in this game with a 0-3-0 Lucian at this point, as well as maybe they should have looked for a Braum or something a little bit more defensive to pair with him into all these melee champions.
Lira has not been good on Elise, and he's been solid on Jarvan. Why did they ban Elise and ask him to play the Jarvan as well?
Well,
right?
yeah, I think the idea of the Gragas Elise bans made sense because, all right, let's put him on a full AD comp, but this game was really surprising to me because from the draft, it looked like TSM had a really big advantage. They were finding some good plays, but I guess it just wasn't enough.
Yeah, I think this is one that TSM is probably going to be kicking themselves a little bit depending on how the rest of the series goes, because this feels like one of those games where you did it, you did a good draft, you should be able to execute on this. And they even had, a relatively close game. As the game goes on, it should actually get harder for Clutch because that armor factor comes in where it's all AD, and they just got snowballed on too hard.
Right, I do think that a Braum last pick instead of Rakan would have gone a long way. Even a Thresh, just to give Lucian that additional safety. If you try to go for a pick on Lucian and he gets a Lantern, then all of a sudden that death and 2 mid turrets turns into Lucian just clicking the Lantern and getting out.
TSM definitely felt lost there in the mid game and into the late game in terms of where their resources should be spent on the map, leaving Lucian out to die a few times and ultimately leaving a pathway for Clutch to come through and take victory. So the series has extended. We were sitting at 2-1. Clutch still needs to put 2 more together. So for Clutch, with side selection, I haven't received it just yet, but my expectation is that they'll go to blue as each of the teams has done so far in this series. Mark, I'm coming to you. How do they replicate success like this from the blue side, where we've already seen them have some draft struggles?
Correct me if this isn't the case, but I wouldn't actually be too surprised if they potentially stay
on red.
Because the one thing that you hate about red side is having to ban Yuumi, but if they really don't play it, if they don't want to adapt and take it on blue side and kind of force TSM to deal with it,
then you actually don't gain any value out of the bans on blue side.
Right, and if you want to do this similar draft where you're taking the Ezreal TK away and you're banning the Sona now, and then you can maybe look for more AD carry bans as they did this game, maybe that's worth staying on red side.
You know what?
I'm curious if
Clutch goes to blue, just heard.
Okay,
just
so forget
they
that.
will go to blue.
I was
Maybe
so
they
ready
play
to
the
go
Yuumi
in
this
on
time.
that.
I
Maybe
like
they
the
play
concept.
Yuumi.
I like the concept, but then I'll turn to you. They are going to blue. That is confirmed, Crumb. So what are you thinking here?
I think that what worked in the previous game is not going to happen again, but you need to get Spica off Sejuani. It's a very powerful pick. That's what he played the entire first time they played as well. We haven't seen anything out of this player, and clearly he's still not 100% up to speed with the rest of the team. If you take him off the easy or the hardest to punish jungler, he's going to have a worse game, which should favor Lira, who hasn't been having the stellar performance he's shown in all of the playoffs.
I'd be interested to see if Clutch decide to try to pinch Zven again, because in that last game, you took away Ezreal and you banned Xayah, Kai'Sa, which are pretty much Sven's main champions. And on that Lucian, he was pretty much a non-factor. It didn't look like he could really get much happening.
Looked very uncomfortable, to your point. But do you think the Lucian, next to a Braum or a Thresh, like you said, does that solve the issue of his underperformance on the character, or do you still don't see a lot of value in Lucian for TSM?
I think that Braum would definitely make it a stronger duo. Lucian Braum has just been, such a strong bot lane for the longest time. So I do think that would have been better, but I think that, you want to play to your player's strengths, and Zven typically does better on, those other champions which weren't available to him.
What's been the biggest mismatch so far in this series in terms of positions?
I think Huni's been really good. He did kind of get taken to task in the Jace Pantheon matchup, but his GP and then the game, this game as well, he was absolutely crushing people, as well as being on fire yesterday. So I think Huni's been the key factor for Clutch this series.
He let us know that their 4th champion is the Irelia now, right? 3 games in a row for Huni, if you consider yesterday and today having that champion. Clearly another big threat in the top lane that can be flexed to the mid lane. The team has expanded their champion pool. TSM has seen it, so I feel like it shouldn't be too hard to figure out what they need to do to prep against Clutch.
Well, they found moderate success so far, having the series lead at 2-1. Only need 1 for the side of TSM. The reverse sweep, though, is still on the menu. See if Clutch can deliver in Game 4 when we return.